Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Mrs. Gorski again, and today we're going to be doing a lesson about 3D shapes today. If you remember my lesson from last time, we were talking about 2D shapes. And when you think about 2D shapes, they're the ones that are behind me right here. We were counting them by 1, their sides, and 2, by their points, corners, or you could also call them vertices. Now, when you're thinking about 3D shapes, there are 3 components that we are going to be counting on a 3D shape. You're going to be looking at faces, edges, and vertices. And I'm going to show you exactly what each one of those are. So I just grabbed a rectangular prism, okay? And when you're thinking about a face, the face on a 3D shape is going to be smooth and flat. Anything that's smooth and flat, even though it might be smooth to the touch on another 3D shape, it has to be flat in order to be considered a face. When you're thinking about an edge, edges are where faces come together, and therefore it creates that edge. So faces come to meet, and it will develop an edge. Then you have vertices. Vertices is where your edges come together to form that point. So therefore, you have a vertice in that respect. Now, not every 3D shape is going to have every single component. It might not have any components, but we're going to have to look at each 3D shape and see for ourselves. So let's talk about the 3D shapes that we're going to be focusing on today. Sphere, cone, pyramid, cube, cylinder, and rectangular prism. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the sphere first. So here's a sphere. Now you're probably very used to looking at spheres. You use them a lot in gym class. Now, even though this sphere is very smooth to the touch, that doesn't mean it's a face. Remember, faces have to be flat. So if this does not have any flat, smooth parts, there's no faces. So therefore, there's no faces on a sphere. So if there's no faces, that means the faces therefore cannot come together to develop an edge. So therefore, no edges either. No edges means they can't come together to form that point, to form that vertice. So therefore, no vertices either. So a sphere is very easy to count. So if we were to say how many faces, edges, and vertices, obviously we're going to say 0, 0, and 0. So let's keep on going. I also want to show you real life objects with spheres too. So the first one I'm going to show you is actually really small. And you could play with them. They're hard, but very smooth to the touch. And it's a marble. They could come in all different kinds of designs. Also, something more of a social studies effect. Whoo! I have a globe, which is a visual representation of our Earth. So this is also spherical in shape. All right, so let's go to number 2. So we have a cone here. Now cones, I think this is a 3D shape that a lot of you guys know, you can recognize, you can develop all different things that can be a cone. So if you're thinking, what is a cone? Here it is. There it is, looking at the structure of it. Don't worry, the G means Gorski. Now, let's take a look and let's count here. So if you're looking for faces, I see 1 flat, smooth surface here. So therefore, I'm going to say 1 face for a cone. Now, when you think about edges, edges have to be straight. So this, even though it feels like an edge to me, it's curved. So I can't really count that as an edge. So I'm going to say 0 to those edges. Now a vertice or a point, I'm looking at this cone and I see one tippy top vertex. So I'm going to count that as 1. So here for our cone, we have 1 face, 0 edges, and 1 vertice. Just like that. Now, thinking about cone objects in real life, I have 2 for you here. I brought my American flag, and if you see the tip top of my American flag, that looks very cone-like. Also, if you have a super sharp point on your pencil, I also see that's a cone too. Now, there's also other cones that you're probably thinking about too, like a party hat or a construction cone that you could see on the highway. Yeah, there's plenty of cones everywhere, but this is just what I have in my room right now. So let's go to the next one. The next one is a pyramid. So here, you're going to notice too that I also have them colored a little bit different. I try to do some color coding for these 3D shapes. You're going to notice there's some blue dots. That's going to be for my faces. You're going to see some red. That's going to be for my edges. And I try to get some black on there for my vertices. Try to color code things a little bit to make things easier to count. So here we go. We're going to be taking a look at some faces. Faces, flat, smooth sides here. Flat, smooth surfaces. So let's go ahead and count. I also like to take my time when I count because sometimes, especially when you're counting the faces, edges, vertices, you can easily recount. So go at a nice slow pace when you're counting. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I counted 5 faces on this particular pyramid. We could also call it a square pyramid because of the base. The base looks like a square. So therefore, sometimes people could call them pyramids. Sometimes we could also call them square pyramids. All right, so now let's go to the edges. I'm going to start counting where those red marks that I made. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So therefore, I have 8 edges. And vertices, remember where those edges meet. So I have 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 vertices. So they're my counts for my pyramid. 5, 8, and 5. So let's talk about some things that you can see in real life. Now, there's not a lot of things in my room that resemble a pyramid. So what I did, I got some pictures. So some of the cool things you could notice pyramid-wise could be, now this is a house. It could be a structure, maybe some kind of building that the roof looks very pyramid-like in structure. And now, come on, why would I not say a pyramid if we didn't show you the pyramids of Egypt? Yes, in the desert. There are plenty of square pyramids out there, folks. If you are traveling to Egypt, this is where you're going to go. So basically, that's where your pyramids are right now. Let's head now to the cube. So cubes are another pretty famous 3D shape that we all know. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start counting those faces. Count those blue dots. Take your time. We're going to go at a nice slow pace here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I count my faces on a cube, it's going to be 6. Let's count the edges. There's going to be plenty of those. Take a look at all those red marks that I have. You have to take your time. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Flip it. 9, 10, 11, 12. There are going to be 12 edges on that cube. And the last one is going to be the vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's going to be 8 vertices on that cube. So let's take a look. What are some cubes in real life? Well, I got 2. One that you're very used to seeing or working with is a connecting cube that we count with, that we build with, that we could do patterns with. And this guy. These are very important, very essential if we're playing games. It's a dice. So there you go. 2 examples of a cube. All right. Now, let's go to my cylinder. Here is a cylinder. Don't want my spear to fall there. Here's my cylinder. And when I look for the faces, nice smooth faces, I could count 2. So here's my 2. Now edges. Now remember when we talked about edges, we do not want to count curved edges. So these are both curved because these faces do look like circles. So I don't want to count those as edges. Vertices, I don't see any points that come together. So obviously, we're going to be looking edges, 0, vertices, 0 as well for my cylinder. But let's take a look and see what a cylinder is in real life. So I got 2. I have a container of dinosaurs. And I have a glue stick. Perfect examples of cylinders. Other things that maybe you could think about is maybe a soup can, a soda can. Pencils could even be, markers can even be cylinders as well. And our last one, rectangular prism. So here we go. Now, this was the first one that I was showing you to talk about faces, edges, and vertices, but now we're just going to go ahead and count them. So let's count our faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. 6 faces. How many edges? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to flip. 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. 12 edges. And vertices. I got to count my points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 vertices. So when you're looking at your rectangular prism, as well as your cube, they have the same faces, edges, and vertices, 6, 12, 8. So let's take a look at 2 examples of a rectangular prism. One would be one of my whiteboard erasers. Another one would be a tissue box. 2 perfect examples of a rectangular prism. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our little 3D shape tutorial. I know you could be finding some of these amazing shapes in your home, in your classroom, anytime. So have a great day, and I'll be talking to you soon.